Hello and welcome everyone. Today I'm going to show about the embedding model, and as this series which I'm doing right now is using GitHub model for everyone to try out the code I'm writing using the agent framework, the new SDK or any SDK you would like to, you have got free models available which you can use for your learning purpose. So I prefer to use the GitHub model, which is already hosted and available for all of us. So I'll come back to this, how you want to get into that. So, but if you go to github.com and then you will find the GitHub model. If you don't find it, just search with GitHub models. You'll get into this page. So basically, the GitHub models are available in GitHub. So I'll just go ahead and search with this. If I search GitHub Marketplace, and you just go to the marketplace of the GitHub from where you can take the models. So this is where you come and get the models. So github.com/marketplace is the place where you come. So you can see that it has got a catalog, the list of models available, and I'm gonna search with embedding. So there are quite a few embedding models available. So you will find um, OpenAI text embedding 3, which is the latest one, which we all prefer to use. So we will use this model. If you want to try this model out, you can use this model in your code base. So it shows you the code also if you want to use the OpenAI SDK. And this is how the code would look like and how you write code. And pretty much a good amount of help you'll find over here. I'll repeat this in each of my sessions so that in case you are watching the video, um, not in a series, but somewhere you'll be able to do that. So I'm not going to write this complex code here. I'm not going to copy this. I'm going to show you how I can use it in my application of Visual Studio Code. So let me open the Visual Studio Code, which is already running. And if you see here, I'm using a file to initialize this GitHub model. So this is the URL you need and the token, which you basically go ahead and create in the GitHub using the GitHub token creation process. So that's my API key. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to initialize a client, which is using the OpenAI SDK to provide and then provide the base URL and the key. That's it. And when I use the model, this time I'm going to use this model name, embedding model name, OpenAI text embedding 3 small. So this is how you identify the model, which is available in the GitHub model. And then I'm also going to tell what is the embedding dimension I'm going to create. So it is going to go ahead and give me 1536 dimension array of the embedding, which is going to convert my text into vector embedding, right? So that is what I am going to show you here, how you can leverage that. To know more about what vector embedding is, how it happens, I did explain that using math. You have a lot of other videos about the vector databases. So please watch them, read them out, search, and then just use this opportunity to understand how you can use a model to generate the vector output. So if I go here and then just gonna go and type some of the things. So let me just write it for you from the scratch. So first let me go ahead and import. So I just need this for my client. So I create a client from the util file. So I have got this. So this client is created. So all the code which I generally have to write are already written there. So I'll say text input. So that's the input I'm going to get from an application, let's assume. And if I say my name, and then if I go down and use the embedding model to convert this text into a vector embedding. So I'm going to say embedding the response. And then here I'm gonna get the client, and then should have an embeddings dot create. Unlike the chat where you basically provide a prompt and get a response, here you give the input as a text and get output as a vector array, right? So it is not the chat completion kind of model. So you call out the model, which model you want to use. So I have got this util where I that mention the model. So I'll say embedding model name. That's the model I'm going to use. I'm going to also tell the dimension is required here. So I'll say util dot embedding model dimensions. Fine. And then here I'm going to provide the input text, which is simply the text which is written here. So the text input. So I'm all good. So here the embedding response should generate now the embedding, right? So, and let me capture that in embedding. And then here I'm gonna say embedding response dot data. Do I have? Yes, I have that data. And then I just pick up the first element and then say embedding. So I will just get the array part of it. So I'm gonna print this, print the embedding, and I'm gonna also print the length of the array. It's an array, so let me also print the array. Let me type something like this: dimension. Yes, maybe. Yeah, it will always be like that. And then I'm gonna get this len of embedding. So the length will be also printed, and also let me print the input text so that you know what we entered as a text input, for which the embedding has happened. Now let me increase this area, and I'm gonna say UV run. This is 02 embedding pi. Yeah. So you can see that the dimension is 1536. The text is this one. Now, if you notice here, this is a big array of 1536 element. So that's why you see it's a huge. So I wanted to print the other information at the bottom so that you can easily see them when it is done, right? So it is easy for us to read. Now, let me show you another interesting part. When I change another uh, letter, like just the A, even the embedding becomes the same dimension embedding. So the letter A represented as 1536 dimension element because I have mentioned that. So everything you do, whether it's a paragraph, sentence, single word, single letter, the size of the output array will always be the same. Let me type this out. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, so I'm gonna just run the vector embedding logic over here, and you can see that it is also going to give me the same size array, different array, but same size array for the whole sentence. You can even pass the whole paragraph, and you will get the same array. So the size of the array never changes Uh, but the representation will vary. If you put large amount of text and make an array versus a small chunk of, let's say, a couple of sentences or a couple of paragraphs, it becomes easier, and then the variety becomes a little bit more elaborate, right? So there are ways to think about it. It's more of a thinking through how your application would behave like that. But in general, this is how you generate an embedding. So if you see the code, it's a fairly simple code. You provide the model for the embedding, you provide the dimension, provide the input text, and then it converts that text into embedding. So that's what the embedding model is all about.